Hey, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to roast another webinar presentation submitted to me by one of my subscribers. Her name's Kathy Burns. She is a professional organizer. She helps businesses get their filing systems and paperwork and all that stuff organized. She's a national expert, been on Good Morning America, wrote a book on this, yet her sales webinar could use a little bit of help or a lot of bit of help, as you'll see here in a moment. So what I'm going to do in this video is break down my advice to her. You'll see a real world example of a sales presentation so that you can have a better marketing message, a better sales presentation for your business. And this is what I do for a living. If you'd like to learn more about my services, check the links in the description. Let's head on over and give Kathy a full webinar review. All right, Kathy, as well as those listening to YouTube, let's go ahead and break down your presentation here. There's a few key elements I always look at. The first that I start with is the topic of your presentation, followed by the headline. So how to get organized, how to organize your workspace and eliminate your distractions. That was one you sent me. And then another one, effortlessly streamline your business, overcome overwhelm, and ignite your focus. And so these are nice enough headlines, but they're really lacking specificity and outcome focus for the business owner. And so your topic is fine. How to get organized, especially if you frame it or position it, as you have in the presentation, on helping busy business owners reduce stress, be more productive, get back more of their time, make more money in their business. That's really what people are buying from you. They don't wake up in the morning and go, how can I be more organized? They're waking up in the morning going, God, I'm overwhelmed. I got too much to do. I wish I had more hours in the day. My business is floundering. I want to make more money, more profit. You have a system, because time is money, to solve that for them. That is obviously how you want to position this. And I thought you did a pretty good job throughout the presentation. I'll share more on that in a moment. But as far as your topic, I think that's perfectly fine. The headline, though, is where I would do some work. How to organize your workspace and eliminate distractions, or streamline your business, overcome overwhelm, and ignite your focus is too vague and it doesn't speak to a specific outcome with a touch of curiosity. Right? That's what we want in our webinar, our sales presentation, hooks and headlines. Can we speak to a burning desire, a specific outcome with a touch of curiosity? And if you can ramp that up, your attendance rates, your show up rates are going to be a whole lot higher. So instead of something like this, how about we do something like how to organize your workspace and eliminate stress so you can reclaim 10 plus hours per week and run your business like a pro. Something like that speaks more specifically to a business owner. It speaks more specifically to an outcome, not just, overcoming and gaining focus and getting organized, organizing your workspace. That is not that compelling compared to, how to organize your workspace so that you can reduce stress, you can reclaim hours back, you can make more money, those kind of things. So I would work on your hook there, something along the lines like you do later in the presentation. You do talk about more profitable businesses or organized, how you can get more time back, all those kind of things. So something like how to organize your workspace and eliminate stress while reclaiming 10 hours or more per week and running your business like a pro. That's a much better hook that I would be advertising on your registration pages, all your invitation emails, and then the title slide of your presentation. Really important, because that's 80% of the reason people sign up and attend is the hook, the webinar, the topic. If you can nail your topic is fine. I think it just needs to be framed a little more powerfully to get people in, okay? So now let's break down the elements of your presentation. So you introduce, you say hi to everybody, and then you jump right into, which I'm fine with, your origin story. Now, I like to term this as your discovery story, and I'll talk about why in a second. So in your presentation, you come on, you share a little bit about your lifestyle, how you met your husband, how you were traveling, how you fell in love with systems, and how because of that, you were able to land on Good Morning America, and you wrote a book on this stuff. One of the things you do well in this presentation is frame yourself as someone with credibility. One of the questions people always have is, why should I listen to this person? And I thought you did more than fine there. Where I think this could be improved, and one of the overarching themes of your presentation, is that I didn't really see you point to a specific method for getting organized. You talked about the 3 mistakes. You talked about some stuff that was nice to know about, but you didn't really talk about your unique method for getting organized, for getting a business organized. And so, excuse me, I got a little bit of a cold here for everyone listening. Apologies for coughing. So what I would do here, I would reframe. I like to start with an opening story. I think that's fine, but I would reframe this as a discovery story. What were you doing before you discovered your unique method for getting these business owners organized? Were you a busy business owner? Were you struggling with paperwork? All those kind of things. And then describe the moment of discovery. Was there a moment where you found a technique that really took it to the next level? And then what did you do afterwards? You wrote a book on this. You did this, and you've worked with X number of clients. I know you have massive credibility. I would end with that. You just kind of told an origin story that loosely tied you to getting organized, and then you kind of moved on. I would much prefer you to tell a discovery story. And again, what was your unique method for getting them there? Because people know they need to be organized. They just hate doing it. One of their objections is, I don't have time. I don't know how to do it. You should have a system for helping these business owners get there faster, better than they could on their own. So reframe this to a discovery story is what I would do there. You did a good job, again, of addressing pain points throughout this presentation. You talked about some of the mistakes. You shared some examples. You gave a few quotes from famous people, a third party, which is great. You even gave your own quote behind that. For people listening on YouTube, that's called quote stacking. It can be a good way to build rapport or build credibility, rather, in your messaging. So that was a good job, Kathy. And again, you did a good job tying the problem, being disorganized, to revenue, to time lost. You had good statistics. You had all of those things in place. And you talk about, networking. You shared examples. You told short stories at certain points of people being disorganized. You really hit the pain points in a big way and tied them to what really matters to the business owner, which is time lost, profitability, problems happening in their business. You did pretty much the whole presentation after you introduced yourself was just you talking about mistakes, talking about problems, talking about issues that these business owners have. And that in of itself is not a bad thing. You did a good job there. But that was kind of like the whole presentation. If I were to give you one piece of advice, I would ask you this, Kathy. What is your unique method for getting these business owners' paperwork and their files and all of those things organized faster, better, and easier than they could on their own? I didn't really see a walkthrough of that process. And I'm not saying to show the how or tell them everything, but the whole presentation, well, you want a good part of it to be framing the opportunity, which is talking about pain points, talking about the issues that these business owners care about. You did a great job there. But I would say the first 20 minutes of a 1-hour presentation should be what I just mentioned there. Introduce yourself, tell a discovery story, and then frame the opportunity. Talk about how productivity is killing them, how they're feeling stressed and overwhelmed without a lot of time. The reason for that is this, because you're not organized, your filing systems are blah, 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 blah. Maybe you've tried these other systems and they didn't work for you. Well, what I've discovered is this, a better way forward. And that would be sort of like the first 20 minutes or so. And then I would actually give a brief overview of like the key components of your method. I assume you have a method for this. I didn't really see it. Like, what is it about you that gets me, the business owner, because that's what I am, more organized so that I can stress less, save more time, right? I didn't really see that. I also didn't really see you address objections. Some objections might be, let's see if I go to my other document. Maybe I've tried to get organized before, but it never sticks. Or my situation is maybe too messy, or I won't stick with it if I do it. Or for me, it'd be, really like, I don't have a lot of paper in my office. I'm a 44-year-old dude. I've been online for over a decade. Most of my stuff's on my computer. So I would want to know more about that. Like, how do I get my Google Drive organized or something like that? But I didn't really see a lot of objections overcome. What were the objections that people have? I didn't really see a lot of shifting of people's thinking. You gave a lot of examples and you hit on the pain points over and over again. I would do that in the first 20, 25 minutes, but then I would spend at least another 20 minutes or so showing them your unique method. In marketing, it's called a unique mechanism. Like, that's what sells me. Like, okay, I get it. I'm unorganized. I could do better. I could totally see the benefit in this. You got me. But insert reason. So one of those things would be, but how do I do that? But what if I'm 100% online and have only a tiny file of papers? But insert excuse, right? Like, we didn't really address those things when I went through this. You did, again, shared a lot of examples and pain points, but not a lot of things there. All good sales presentations are built around showing people a new opportunity, a new path forward. And well, I get that the problem that you're solving, I didn't really see, again, the exciting path that would get me to go, wow, this is great, I'm in. Wow, I could see how this can get me organized faster than I ever thought possible. So those are some things to think about. Also, the whole digital era. Like, I don't have very many pieces of paperwork in my office. So I'm not as attracted to the filing system in my office as I would be like my Google Drive system getting organized, or my whatever, right? Your Notion setup, or that's a little more of a modern setup. That might be something to consider in the future for you, for your business. So that's that. If I go into your offer section here, again, you kind of just go from a lot of problem talking, which is great, but again, lacking the unique mechanism, to making your offer. So here's the offer section. You go into that, you share a quick case study, which I'll talk about more in a second. Again, reinforce the pain point. And then you kind of go into, the logistics of the program. It's a 6-week program. You get online videos. These are all features of the program. And then you break down week 1, what you're going to do, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6. You kind of recap that. And then you have a few little bonuses in here as well that are fairly low ticket bonuses. And then you sort of recap the whole classic stack slide, and you give it's a $9.97 product. You sort of price frame it. Fast action bonus usually does work well if framed properly. I would name that call. I wouldn't just say a 30-minute call with Kathy. I would say like an organization fast start session with Kathy, and really hit the benefits of what that is. I would put a price point on that. Like for me, I do a webinar review with people. That's a $5,000 price point that I put on that. So make this really, like, this one bonus. I've had literally people rebuy my programs just to get the fast action item. Literally, they've rebought it just so they can get another session with me. So position this stronger for sure. Guarantee and then questions. I think that's fine. What I'm not seeing here in your offer, this offer feels very checklisty, if that's a word. It checks some of the boxes, but it doesn't really wow me like it could, right? So whenever I introduce the name, I would have a slide that actually introduces the name of your program, the Get It Done formula. Start with the big outcome. So what I'd like to do is introduce you to the Get It Done formula, where in just 6 weeks with me, you're going to have a fully optimized paper filing system for your business so that you save countless hours every single week and buy back more than a month over your year, so you can make more money, have a bigger impact, stress less than you ever thought possible. And then I would, behind that, talk about who it's for. This is for you if you're a busy business owner who's stressed with time, feels like you could be more organized, wants to make more money, wants to have better systems, wants to do their business like a pro, right? That's kind of who it's for. Then I would go through just the high level nuggets of the program. So I don't even think you need to do each individual week here. I would just say, like, the first thing we're going to do in the program is this. We're going to audit your workspace. You're going to get clear on what needs to improve. The second thing is we're going to install my Get It Done system. The third thing we're going to do is make sure you put systems in place so that it sticks, so that it's easy. We're going to take all the guesswork out of it, blah, 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 blah. So keep it higher level. One of the mistakes people make when they're talking about their core offer is they go into checklist mode. And I've been guilty of this in the past as well. We want to just give them enough information about the core product so that they understand the value, and just talk about benefits. Now, you do want to list that it's 6 weeks. You do want to talk about they'll have, recordings. You'll very brief on this feature stuff, but don't start with that. Like, start with introducing the program, the big outcome, the big chunks you're going to do in the program, and then end it with it's 6 weeks long. You're going to have lifetime. Always use the word lifetime if you're doing that. Lifetime access to the training materials and templates, and everything will be recorded if you can't come live. So don't worry about that. It's always good to address that objection. And then what I actually like to do after I give the core program is I'll actually share the price. So I'll do my price anchoring right after that. You share the price at the very end. I don't like to end. If it's a $1,000 product, here's a pro tip for you. Don't end with price, end with value. And this is a writer downer for everyone listening, including you. If you end with price, you're ending on price. Whereas if you share the price after the core offer and then build the bonus values behind it, you're ending with value. And I found that to convert very, very well. Don't drop the link yet, though. Share the price after the core offer and then build value behind it with bonuses, other resources that enhance the value of the offer that justifies that $1,000, that $997 price point, okay? So that's really important. The price here is not the wow factor. So we want to share the core offer, talk about the benefits, share the price, and then build value behind the price. And then once you've built value behind the price is where you drop your link or give them the call to action. If you give them the call to action up front, you'll let the air out of the balloon too early. There's some trust me, I've done this. I've made these mistakes. Hardly anybody talks about this. That will be a big thing right there. Okay? So we introduce the program. We talk about the big outcome. We talk about the 3 big things they're going to do in the program. All those kind of things are there. And then we talk about just briefly how it's delivered, 6 weeks, group coaching. Then we do our price anchoring. Excuse me, I'm going to get a quick sip here. My voice is going. We do the price anchoring. And then we go into the bonuses and the add-ons. We build value behind it. Now, bonuses should be framed in a certain way. One, they should always address objections or concerns. This program sounds great, Kathy, but insert excuse. Or how can you get them there faster? Can you give them a case study of a completed, can you give them a checklist of like the completed desk setup or workspace checklist? Just check these boxes. You'll be done in record time. A case study of a successful, workstation setup. I'm fumbling with my words. These are one take, by the way, everybody on YouTube. These are one take. So if you don't like that, no worries. But that's what these are. Bonuses should address objections, concerns, help people get results faster and easier. So the checklist, take control of your time. I don't know what that means exactly. The book is nice, but not necessarily addressing a concern. Same thing with this. I would look at can you give them literally like finished product checklists? Like here's the ultimate workspace checklist. If you just want a fast path to get it done fast, it's going to do that for you. Can you give them, a plan? I like the filing system that you gave. If you're going to stick with the paperwork thing, this is a good bonus because this saves them time and gets them to see themselves getting it done faster. So I would just look at your bonuses. A free month of group coaching is not really that attractive. I would say, can you give them a checklist, a case study of what it looks like so that you can see the finished product? A list of recommendations maybe of all of the office supplies. I don't know if that applies to you, but think about what do they need your core program is the 6 weeks. What do they need around that to make this even easier for them? What could you give them? And don't just give them more information. If you're selling it, here's a pro tip for everyone listening. If you're selling a course or coaching, don't give them more courses or coaching if possible. Give them tools, software, templates, scripts, done for you stuff, different mediums that help them get the result faster and easier. That's going to enhance the attractiveness of your offer. Okay. So there's those things there. And then you recap and do all that stuff. And then I would drop the link after after you go through the bonuses. Then you're going to share your fast action offer. And then only after you share your fast action offer, I would drop the link to actually join. So you want to build up a little tension. So you talk about the core program, the benefits, a little bit of the features. You do the price anchoring, you share the price. Then you build value behind the price with the bonuses and talk about what each one does. You want to tie problems to solutions. Worried about this? No problem. We're going to give you this. Want to go faster? We're going to give you the checklist. Want to know what you might need to purchase? I've got the fastest, easiest, cheapest tools you can use to enhance your office productivity right here. Want to see a finished product? Here's an example. Want a filing system? We're going to give that to you. Then, and by the way, I have one more thing. I always frame it this way. It's like the Steve Jobs presentation. And one more thing. For the first 15 who pay the full $997 on today's presentation, who here would love to get me to personally look over your home office situation, make sure you absolutely nail it. So for the first 15 to buy on this presentation only, once presentation's done, it goes away, you're going to get a personal 30-minute one-on-one organization accelerator session with me, Kathy, to make sure you absolutely nail this, blah, 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 right? You don't ever want to mention that the offer expires in a future date. You want people to buy on the webinar. This is a key mistake people make. People make this mistake. They'll say, oh, you'll have another few days to decide on this offer. Never mention that, or people will do that. If they leave your webinar presentation without buying, the odds of them buying have dropped a lot, significantly. So we never want to mention that. We want to have a reason for them to buy while they are live with you. This does that fast action bonus, okay? 30 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Never end with a thank you slide. Never end with a thank you slide. You want to end with an offer recap slide. So what I mean by that is something closer to this, right? You want to have a recap of the offer. I like to have an image of me. I like to have the guarantee on there, the price on there. You never end with a Q&A slide like this or a thank you slide like this. Stay on as long as people are asking questions about your offer, about your methods, about if it's a fit for them, not free coaching. But leave your offer summary slide up the entire time while you answer questions. You do not want to take that down. And then after you drop your price, I don't see a lot of social proof, right? Can you share case stories, after you've dropped the link? I know you're trying to get the link to drop before the hour's up, and I think that's smart, but stay on longer. Once the links drop, people can go buy. Behind that, add case studies, add social proof, add testimonials, add other Q&A objection sort of overcoming beyond that. And then end with a summary slide right here. Leave it up as you answer questions on your presentation so people are not confused at all to what the entirety of the offer looks like. Okay? So those are some key takeaways. Hope everyone on YouTube found this helpful. Kathy, I hope you found this helpful too. Again, if you want to know more about my services, check the links in the description. That's it for this video breakdown. If you have any questions about this, leave a comment below. If you want more content like this, leave a comment and I'll do more of this. I sent out a note to my database a couple of weeks ago and had about a dozen people reply back that said they had a webinar for me to review. So I've done a couple of these and we'll look to do more if it makes sense and it's valued content. So anyway, that's it for now. I look forward to making another one of these videos for you soon. Take care. We'll talk soon.